Jay Roland is an up-and-coming author in the dark epic fantasy genre with the recent release of his first novel, Shadow of the Soulblade, and we've had him on a couple times before, and he's back with us. How are you today?
Good, Toby. How about yourself?
I'm excellent, thank you. So, just for those that have missed the last times or just forgot about them, give us a brief reminder of what the book's all about.
Yeah, so Shadow of the Soulblade is the first of the Dark Throne Chronicles series, and it's set against the backdrop of a brand new world called Ashana. And so this is a completely new world. It's unlike anything anybody's ever seen in the sense that, I've moved away from the typical cultural selections of like elves and dwarves and gnomes and hobbits and all of that. I've moved away from all of that to create an entirely new world with whole new civilizations and continents. And it's extremely, vast expanse with new creatures and monsters and perils for people to encounter.
And it's described as a dark epic fantasy genre. Obviously, we know what fantasy is, but what does that dark and epic part actually mean?
So the epic part means that this is a high fantasy adventure. This is people questing to overcome the peril of the whole planet and the lives of all of the inhabitants of that planet. But the dark part really stems from the fact that it's very gritty when it gets to combat, when it gets to the interactions between the characters. Unlike some other authors who I praise them for what they've done. I don't try to rely in this book. I try to get away from all of the sex and the swearing. I don't really need that to make what I consider to be an adult or a dark epic fantasy. This has very dark overtones, especially when it comes to the visceral descriptions of combat and the nuances of the interactions between the characters and their relationships.
Yeah, and this book has been out for nearly a couple months now, so how does it feel to actually see your work out there in the world?
It's pretty amazing, and the reviews continue to come in. It's currently rating 4.8 on Amazon and 5.0 on it was 5.0 last I checked on Goodreads, and 5.0 on NetGalley as well. So it's getting really, really great reviews across the board.
And I think last time we spoke, you said you didn't have any reviews, or it might have been only like one or two. So is it a bit of a relief that the reviews are starting to come through?
It is. It really, really is. And Amazon, bless them. They've made it so easy for people to put out, products and projects and books with their print-on-demand systems. But one of the things that they do is they make sure that all of the reviews are very authentic. So, like, for example, if my mom went to go give a review on my book, they would know that, because they can see those relationships through the metadata, and they would scrub that review. If my wife went to go give a review, then they would know that, and they would scrub that review. If my friends go give a review, they would check the metadata against our Amazon or our Facebook friendships and things, and they'll go scrub those reviews to make sure that when Johnny Reader comes to Amazon and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a good dark epic fantasy," and he looks at my book, they want him or anybody who would wander upon my book in the Amazon ecosystem to really be able to get an honest sense of what's in that book based on real reviews. So they're really, really particular about that.
Yeah, that's actually quite surprising that they go that deep, because to be honest, I just thought if you've bought the book, you can leave a review. If you haven't bought it, you can't. But I suppose it's interesting that, they actually make them really verifiable reviews.
Yes, yeah.
And for those reviews that maybe weren't 5 stars, I don't know if you've got any negative ones, but maybe some that aren't the maximum rating. Have you taken on the perhaps advice they might have given you?
So with some of it, right, you just have to understand that some books aren't for some readers, right? So I don't take it personally. Really for me, it's all about making sure that my marketing strategies really target the right readers that are the people who are right for this book. I have a 4-star, so I have a 3-star rating, and somebody went and gave me 3 stars, but they didn't leave any review to critique or anything, to say how I could, have better satisfied what they were looking for. I have a 4-star review, and even my 4-star review, the guy said that it was not the best fantasy book that he's read, but then he said it's well ahead of the pack as far as what he's read in the past year. He said for his perspective, it could have used another round of editing, and I do have another editor, going back and kind of giving a proofread over it. But even she said that she doesn't see where any editing improvements could be done. So it doesn't matter how good the author is, how popular the author is. The best authors out there, Terry Goodkind, Pierce, I think it's Pierce Brown, Brendan Sanderson, Jim Butcher. They all have people giving them 2 and 3 star reviews. And in my opinion, right, those are kind of like the your battle scars, right?
Yeah.
Like those show that you have real people coming in. If somebody wants to come in and give me a 1-star review, I don't want them to have a bad experience. But if somebody honestly has a 1-star experience, I want them to give me a 1-star review, because I would rather have that honest feedback in the face of this whole release process.
3 stars is still a positive review, isn't it? It's 60%.
I agree. 3 stars. I apologize. I had to change my perspective. My camera's about to die. So 3 stars is still technically a positive review. It's not, I don't have any 1 or 2 star reviews yet. I'm sure they're coming, because I'm sure that my book is going to get in the hands of somebody who, they didn't like something about the character interaction, or they thought the plot development could have gone a different direction, or maybe I killed a character they liked. It could be any number of reasons.
In a way, do you find that the fact that not all reviews are 5 stars maybe makes it look a bit more authentic? Like, maybe if you saw a book and all the reviews were 5 stars, you'd maybe think maybe they're all bought and fake. Something it makes it real.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I say they're like the battle scars, because human beings, it's really interesting. We're not drawn to, and we're not attracted to perfection. We are attracted to symmetry, right? But everybody, beauty, in my opinion, is oftentimes defined by the whole picture, both the symmetry and the little imperfections that occur. That's why something that looks too perfect, you're not necessarily drawn to, right? And so I agree, right? If I had 1,000 reviews and every single one was 5 stars, people would start to, I would question it. I'd be like, how is this happening?
Yes.
My own stuff, I would question it. So having those, 3 and 4 star reviews, and eventually the 2 star and 1 star reviews that are going to come in, again, it really just adds to the whole picture, and you can go see what another reviewer has reviewed, right? So if somebody didn't like my book and somebody goes, oh, well, they gave them a bad review and a bad rating, what else have they rated? Oh, they rated this other book that I really loved a 1 star, right?
Yeah.
If they rated my book a 1 star and another book that you really loved a 1 star, maybe that 1 star, maybe you're like, oh, well, then I'll go give his book a try because they didn't like the other stuff I liked,
Yeah, that's true.
So it kind of work in reverse as well. It's just as long as it's authentic. Because again, right? What if somebody goes in and sees a 5-star rating from a reviewer and they go check what else they've reviewed and they're like, oh, I hate everything that this guy has given 5 stars to.
Yes.
Then I might not like this book too. So all I ask as far as reviews is honesty.
Yeah, it's all about perspective and relative, isn't it?
It's all relative and based on perspective, 100%.
Do you enjoy reading the reviews and seeing what people are actually saying about the book and the reaction generally?
I love it. The whole point of, because this story has been brewing in my head for, between 5 and 20 years, depending on which parts of it I talk about. So really, when I see other people giving me reviews and having read it and having gone on this adventure, I know that I brought another person into this brand new fantasy world and that they had a great experience, coming out of it.
Well, the big question is, what projects are you working on at the moment?
So I'm continuing to outline the plot structures for the next books. The overall plot structures are in place, but I'm weaving some things together for that. But at the advice of some other author friends, I've also diversified out into another genre structure, right? Into another kind of genre segment. And so I'm working on a book that's actually going to be what I refer to as a raw project, right? It's going to be read as written, okay? RAW. And so what I'm doing is the book is called Ethereum, or the book is called The Rise of the Nephilim, and the series is going to be called Ethereum. And so it's based on the premise that an interstellar object entered our solar system and crashed into the sun. And, NASA and everybody else was watching and they saw it happen and they thought, okay, no big deal. When it happened, there was no event, so they thought no big deal. Then within 24 hours, solar flares and coronal mass ejections start happening. And then it radiates, it puts out what's referred to as Ethereum radiation to the Earth, because the object was referred to as, they had to make up a new element because they couldn't determine what it was made of. It wasn't made of any element on the periodic table that exists. So they had to call it the Ethereum asteroid. So when the Ethereum asteroid crashed in, it created Ethereum radiation that both knocked out all technology on Earth and created or caused mutations in a percentage of the Earth to give people like superheroes superpowers. And so a small segment of those individuals go mad and become supervillains. And then another small segment, kind of ascend and become superheroes. And so now you have a world, it's a post-apocalyptic Earth with no technology, right? And you have some people that can shoot lasers out of their eyes, they can fly, they can become invisible, they can run at super speed. So all of your typical superhero stuff in a post-apocalyptic Earth with no technology. And I thought those two things colliding together would make for a very interesting story. And so that's what I've done.
Yeah, that sounds quite fascinating. Without giving too much away, obviously, because we want people to actually read it when it comes out, what's the world like after this? I mean, is it completely ruined, or is it perhaps changed for the better in some way?
The story starts 10 years after the A2 event, or the A2 event stands for the Ethereum asteroid event. And so 10 years after that, people have gotten, old school coal locomotions back online. They've had to revert back to old school, radio technology and telegraphs.
Yeah.
They've kind of been able to piggyback on some of the technology that existed, but a lot of the stuff is really just, useless. Cell phones are useless. Televisions are useless. All of that is really all gone. And so there's a couple of interesting ways that people are going to use their powers to kind of replace the technology in a way, in certain aspects. But this story follows an individual named Donovan Santiago, and he is a member of an organization called the Orion Collective, and they are an organization of what's referred to as the Nephilim, because the superheroes become the Nephilim, and the supervillains become the daemons. And their job is to try to protect those people who remained normal through the Ethereum event from the daemons. And so they become aware of when the daemons start, going and causing trouble, and then they go interact. But the whole world, the world as a whole, right, it's going to be a lot spicier, as they say, of a story. So there is sex, there is swearing, there is, and the violence is going to stay ramped up as much as it was from the Dark Throne Chronicles series, but I'm going to add these other elements into my storytelling, and hopefully that both makes me a more well-rounded storyteller and allows to access another kind of demographic of people who would be interested in hearing the stories that I'm telling.
And you mentioned the book is raw, as in read as written. What does that actually mean? So
what that means is I'm going to write it, and then I'm going to go through a couple of rewrites for each chapter, and then once a chapter is pretty much done, I'm going to have my robo editors, my pro writing aid and auto crit. I'm going to run it through those, and then I'm going to post it on the website. If you go to jroland.com/books, you can see the Rise of the Nephilim right there, and you can read it right on the website every time I release it. I'm just releasing it literally for free. Anybody can go read it for free on my website.
Wow. What's the reasoning behind doing that?
I thought it would be an interesting way to both share my stories and get traffic, and possibly generate kind of cross vertical interest in the Dark Throne Chronicles as well as just kind of share my stories. If I look at other successful authors, his name's not coming to me. I apologize. The guy who wrote The Martian, right?
Oh yeah.
With the movie with Matt Damon that was originally a book. That was originally a self-published book that was actually available for free for a number of years online.
Andy Weir.
Andy Weir, yeah, he's an amazing author. Andy Weir, he wrote that for free and just put it online.
Wow.
And it was available for people to read for free. And again, that's another way that an author like myself, as a new author, can kind of share my storytelling talents, for the pure joy of just sharing my stories and my ideas.
And do you do it for the joy? I mean, obviously it's nice to get the sales and stuff on Amazon, but if you didn't get any of that, do you think you'd still be doing it?
Even if I didn't get any sales, I would still be writing, because I'm a storyteller, by nature. I've been playing, role-playing games and storytelling, Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Apocalypse and Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse and, Shadowrun, any number of Palladium books, games. So I just love to tell stories and bring people into new fantasy worlds and give them adventures to go on. And being an author is the way that I can do that for the most people at once.
Well, before that comes out, your book, Shadow of the Soul Blade, is already out at the moment. So where are all the places that we're able to get that?
Yeah, so you can go find it on my website at www.jroland.net. And then if you go to the books section, it will take you to a link, and there's a number of links to purchase it throughout there. You can get a signed copy directly from me, and I'll do a signed autograph thank you. Or you can get a copy. It'll direct you to the Amazon link, or you can go directly to Amazon and pick that up. I'm still working on getting my distribution through Barnes & Noble and through some other distributors right now. There's still a technical glitch with that, but you can currently still get it on Amazon, and you can get it on from my website.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great having you here again.
Thanks, Toby. It's been a pleasure.